Welcome to episode 13 of Powered4.tv, Big Fight Weekly. I am Stu Palmer with my co-host Chris Hume. How are you, Chris?
Sound, mate, sound.
We've got a lot to cover this week. We are going to begin with Ufc 262, 16,000 people in attendance in Houston, headlined by the new lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira, long-time UFC vet now, taking on Michael Chandler, and he's beaten Michael Chandler, Chris. What a fight. What a fight. I'm going to go straight to you on this.
Touch and go, wasn't that, in the first round, pal? I didn't even know Oliveira was going to make it out the first round. You know, after the barrage of punches that Chandler was hitting with him on the ground. Absolutely extraordinary comeback fight by Oliveira, because it only took him 18 seconds in the second round to get it done. You know what I mean? I thought that the first round was really competitive, but I worried for Oliveira, those power punches that Chandler was throwing, because he did look a bit tentative every time Chandler landed one of them. You mean they got on the ground as well? You know, Chandler did something I didn't think he would do when he got when Charles Oliveira got his back, and he obviously he stood up and he threw himself back. I thought dangerous, because Oliveira's as slick as they come when it comes to jiu-jitsu, but he managed to get out of that, and he controlled the fight. Then Michael Chandler almost got it finished, and I got to say hats off to the ref, because I won't say most refs, but some refs would have finished the fight right there and then. And I think that would have been completely unfair to Charles Oliveira, because he was still in the fight. He was dazed, but I wouldn't say he was knocked out. But the issue then coming out of that is when the bell went and they both went to their corners. I don't know what you thought, but I thought Chandler was blowing really hard after that.
Put a lot into it at the back end there. I mean, it had a bit of everything that first round, I thought. But as you say, kind of fighting fire with fire there against someone, the striking ability of Chandler. We know what he can do. But what a finish, explosive. I can't believe Charles Oliveira, that was his 28th career fight in UFC. He's been around
for a
crazy.
long time.
And I know we'd had some losses years ago, and it kind of seems the older he gets, the better he's getting. He's on a run. He's on a run, I think, fully deserved. I think I had Chandler winning this one when we were predicting, behind the scenes. I was quite surprised. But he used every facet. So I don't think we can complain, Chris.
Oh, no, not at all. I said to you when we spoke to Chile and Rom on Facebook, and I was like, I'm leaning towards Oliveira. I'm leaning towards it, because I just thought when they the weigh-ins and then they came together, and it made me think, I think Oliveira might have this, I think in the second round he was more composed. Obviously, Chandler looked like he did blow his gasket at that point, and he was breathing really heavily. And you could see that from when he, sat down to when he got back up. But Oliveira stayed composed, didn't he, and landed the counter strikes. Because I thought Chandler was quite rash with his strikes. He was winging it a bit, trying to land the shot. And Oliveira just took complete control of that, and used the counter striking to finish the fight. And I'm really happy for him. Him, like Michael Bisping, they fought their asses off to get where they are.
Yeah.
It's prevailed for them.
Good way of drawing the parallels there with a person like Bisping, had the losses, but even down to someone like I was thinking to myself, like a Robbie Lawler. I know he was in initially very young, 19. He was at the top level, wasn't he? Went away, came back, won welterweight title. It's good to see. It's a great advert for fighters that feel, I probably lost, I've lost a few. I can't get back in. You can.
Yeah.
It can be done, Chris. It can be done.
Definitely. 100%.
Where next for Michael Chandler? He came in with an explosive victory. And now, do you feel the fight was too soon? I know we can say this now, he's lost. Do you think he was put into that fight too soon in retrospect?
No, I wouldn't say so, no. Because Chandler is an elite fighter. He's shown it in Bellator. You know what I mean? He still came over and he still won. He still won his first fight, and I think that's the hurdle for most fighters when they come over from a different organization, is to get that hump over the first step. The first fight you get in the UFC, because they do talk about the jitters, don't they, and being in the octagon for the first time. Look, he'll be back. I think for him, you're gonna have to look at the fights that are put together, because a lot of fights are already put together. You know what I mean? You've got Conor, you've got Dustin, they're fighting next. Dariush is just, obviously we'll talk about him in a minute, but
absolutely,
he obviously won his fight.
Yeah.
You've got Justin Gaethje that's, hasn't got a dance partner, and he's still there. I don't know where they're going to go with that. And if Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor is going to be the next fight for him.
Does Oliveira have trouble with a man at the level of Gaethje in striking?
Yes.
Or has he shown enough last night that he can maybe give him a go on the feet, or do you think that's career suicide? Because we know Gaethje's got power. We know that.
Yeah, and he's got really nasty calf kicks, leg kicks. You know what I mean? Gaethje can hurt you in multiple different ways. And he's still forget. I know Khabib beat him on the ground, but he's also got that All-American wrestling background as Justin Gaethje. The differences between a Gaethje and a Chandler. Gaethje's not going to tire out. Gaethje's going to keep coming and keep coming and coming.
Steam train. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. You know, with Chandler, maybe we could get a Gaethje Chandler. That would be an absolute epic fight. Maybe Chandler could face, I don't want to say it because I want to say my piece in a minute about Tony Ferguson, but maybe, I don't know about that. It's hard for him to go now because he's going to have to look down the ranks to fight someone because everyone's getting booked up. And I just don't know if they're going to give Justin Gaethje Chandler because he's obviously lost the fight. Do you know what I mean?
A fantastic victory for UFC vet Charles Oliveira. He is at the precipice. He's at the top of the division. Fantastic performance. Incredible. I think many wrote him off prior. I think a lot of people thought Chandler was going to come on top, myself included. But the co-main event, 3 rounds of utter domination from Beneil Dariush, from long-time lightweight standout Tony Ferguson. Now, I thought Dariush had it as a complete fighter, and he did what we expected, I think, Chris.
Yeah, I think you used the word facet. Dariush used the whole facet of his arsenal. He used the striking to keep Tony away, and every time Tony tried to do his pop jab to come in, he was always there first, was Dariush, constantly straight into his face. He used his takedown to nullified Ferguson, absolutely nullified him on the ground, and I think Oliveira obviously made that pathway in the last fight against Tony Ferguson. It was sad to see because Tony Ferguson is a guy that has gone through hell, and I feel bad for him because he had 12 fights in a row and never getting that title shot. He got close with Khabib, but it kept on collapsing. 4 times against Khabib. Everyone wanted to see it. I don't know whether he would have done as good as everybody else has, but it's still, he warranted that because of the fights he won, at the time, and the people he did beat. It's a bad night for him. I think for Tony Ferguson, I don't think he's an elite fighter anymore. I think that time has definitely moved on with him. Do you start the heel hook that Dariush got in Ferguson? How he did not tap out in that? It was madness. And he was saying that he heard in the ankle or the foot, they heard something pop, but he carried on going. He's hardcore as Tony Ferguson.
His leg was gone, wasn't it? You could tell he couldn't put any weight on that. He did some damage there. Sometimes you can't see, can you, how tight they have it, until you've felt it yourself, I suppose. But
yeah.
Fantastic to see Beneil Dariush. He's been around the company for many years. These guys that have had, stumbling blocks in the UFC, and they're starting to get up. They're getting up, Chris. It's good to see. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And he has been informed. He has been informed, hasn't he, Dariush? Let's give him his due here. I think a lot of people backed him to beat Tony. I think a lot of people think Tony's just not the same anymore. And as you said, having that run, Chris, for so long and then not getting his title shot, it was bad. It was bad.
It's horrible because he's going to look back at that. You know what I mean? And he was on top of the mountain. He was the interim title holder because obviously Khabib was suspended, wasn't he? And all of the shit that was going on in his life. And it was sad. He will look back on that and say, why didn't I ever get a title shot? Anybody who's ever been on that sort of run in any division would have got a title shot. It's just unfortunate when they got booked and they got put together, injuries happened. You know what I mean? Every time there was one of them got injured, the other got injured. Khabib got ill on eating tiramisu, didn't he? Apparently so. In one of the fights, Tony tripped over a flipping wire when they were doing the workouts.
It's just ill-fated, isn't it? It was just never. It just never happened. I thought it was 3 times until you corrected me. 4 times. 4 times. Oh, just talk about bad luck. But hey, the guy has been fantastic. He's been fantastic at lightweight, though. We've got to give him his due. You can't knock him. He was superb. He was superb. It will be interesting to see now what next for Dariush. What next for Dariush, Chris? What would be feasible for you on paper?
It's hard again because we're going back to what's next for Chandler, what's next for Dariush, both on the different ends of the spectrum now. Yeah, one's going up, one's going down. But everyone who, you need to make your name off to get back at the shot, Oliveira, it's already booked up. People like Dustin Poirier, Dariush would be like, I want that fight, or I want Conor McGregor, I want Justin Gaethje. He could get Justin Gaethje. That could possibly happen because, Justin Gaethje, again, hasn't got a dance partner. It's a balance now. UFC are going to have to look at this and think hard how they plan out now, because obviously Dustin and Conor, maybe Justin are next for Charles Oliveira, but everybody else is going to have to be put together now so they can, keep moving after them to a fought,
Scary prospect going back to Oliveira when you can see what he can do, what he's got the ability to do with the jiu-jitsu, and he'll mix it up on the feet now. I think, he will. He'll give it a go, and we know how much Poirier loves to bang. McGregor, no slouch on the feet as well. No. But I just wonder, I think he might have a long run. But then I'm thinking, going back to Gaethje, I think Gaethje's the one that could stop him. Personally,
he's got some serious strikers coming his way, and I said this to Chile after I watched it on Sunday, because obviously we did our big fight extra, didn't we, on the night of it? And I said to Chile, he said, Charles Oliveira's got some big strikers coming his way. You know what I mean? Chandler's a good striker, but really he's a wrestler. You know what I mean? He's like a Chad Mendes sort of esque fighter. You know what I mean? You can see the similarities between Chad Mendes and Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler's obviously a lot better than Figgy Bob, and but the level of strikers of Poirier, McGregor, Justin Gaethje's, they're elites above, what Michael Chandler can bring, when they're standing up.
So, as we've said many times, the lightweight division, it's always been a staple of the UFC, always top draw, top level in terms of weight classes, always delivers. And we'll move on to preview UFC Fight Night. Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. Rob Font is on a 3-fight win streak. He beat Moraes as well. Was not expected to beat him, Chris, was he? Garbrandt's come back in, hasn't he, in more recent times?
He's also been injured, hasn't he? This fight was mostly happening at the beginning of the year. Look at them; they're both, ranked third, ranked fourth. They're both on each other's tails here. I like Rob Font. I think Rob Font's seriously underrated, personally. I'm not sure if he's the guy that can dethrone at the top end. I'm not, you know what I mean? I think people like Sanhagen, Dillashaw, when hopefully them two should be fighting in the next couple of months or maybe weeks. I'm not sure if they've made a date for their fight again now. But, there's Peter Yan, Aljo, when Aljo stops being an actor. There's a lot of good fights coming up in a bantamweight. I just don't know if Rob Font's the guy that could, he might prove me wrong, and I hope he does, because I do really enjoy his fighting. For this fight, though, I could only see it in a way, right? Because I don't think there's going to be any wrestling in this fight at all. I think this is going to be a stand-up war. It's going to be pretty much a boxing fight, this one. I find Rob Font's more technical with his striking. He picks his punches, and he utilizes, the space and the angles and the open opportunities to throw a strike. Where Garbrandt is a ring of fire, isn't he? He will use power and power shots. The only problem I have with Garbrandt is when he gets very frustrated, his hands are down, and you've seen in multiple fights he's been KO'd because he's been too overly aggressive. He doesn't seem to block the punches coming his way as much. His hands are down quite often. It could go one way, because I could say Rob Font could TKO him or knock him out, but Garbrandt could only hit you once and knock you out. Just look what he did to Rafael Sunshao, and it was right at the end of the first round, and then pow, out he goes. It'll be an interesting fight, and it sets them up for the next row of fighters to come as well, because you've got, Frankie Edgar's still up there. I think he's ranked 4th. Obviously, we've got Sanhagen, Dillashaw. Obviously, Aljo and Peter Yan are going to have to rematch. So there is a bit of a hold, isn't there? But, there's loads of fights. There's Aldo, the Dominic Cruzes. So many good fights out there in bantamweight to have.
It is absolutely stacked at 135 at the moment. When everyone is fit and healthy as well, there's matches. It's a matchmaker's dream on paper, isn't it? Just getting it done. It's getting it done, Chris, and hoping nobody gets a bloody injury. That's the key thing there. But yeah, do you think with Garbrandt he'll be on his guard a bit more, where he's been a bit wild striking, then gets caught? Because we've seen Rob Font can put people away. Rob Font Rob Font is the bookie's favourite as well on this one at the moment. I had a look at the odds. He's right. Garbrandt is underdog, but that's betting. That's on the betting. Anything could happen. It's quite close. Quite close.
I'd say it's close because as I just said to you, it depends on what Garbrandt is. Is he going to be a bit more defensive and not be as wild? Because when you're facing someone like Rob Font, who is very technically sound with his striking, you can't come up there and start winging it and start a war immediately. Be a bit more precise, be a bit more clever, counter strike if you have to. Slip and rip, but I just don't know if that's Garbrandt's style. Garbrandt's style is just straightforward and straight to hell, isn't it? It could go either way. Like I say, Rob Font could box him, TKO him, or like I say, Garbrandt could hit him with one punch because Garbrandt only needs one punch.
Permutations are plenty leading in to the UFC Fight Night main event Saturday, US. UK early hours Sunday for that. It will be fantastic. That will be explosive. Absolutely. Moving on to our final bit of news this week in MMA and UFC. Legend of the UFC and MMA, a pioneer, absolutely. Anderson Silva has finally called time on his career. Look at the stats there. You've supplied the imagery for this one, Chris. Quite the breakdown there about what he's done, what he's achieved over his long career. I would say he went too long. And then you've obviously said stuff outside the cage that he's done wrong also didn't help matters with him. But his legacy, I still think he's got the legacy.
He always had the legacy. I mean, this guy, before he came to UFC and he was in Cage Warriors and he fought Lee Murray, don't forget, Lee Murray, who was in prison in Morocco. But Lee Murray wasn't a bad MMA fight. He had one fight in UFC, then he did his bank robbery, didn't he? And ended up in prison. But Anderson Silva, before coming to UFC, was actually going to quit. He wasn't actually going to be in the UFC. He was, after Cage Warriors, there's a Nogueira brothers that actually had to coach him to carry on fighting. But you look at what happened. He comes into UFC, he gets Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben at that time hasn't never been knocked out. Chris Lieben had a granite chin, didn't he? He could take a punch, and he wiped the floor of Chris Lieben in minutes. The Muay Thai of Anderson Silva in the early Anderson Silva was lethal. He knew how to counter strike. He knew how to put someone away. He measured everybody. It did take him a minute or so, maybe a round to figure you out. But when he figured you out, you were in danger.
I just think with him, now we looked at it from two different areas, didn't we? You said he should have fought GSP. And GSP did go up to middleweight, beat Bisping, as you said. I always felt he could have had more fights at light heavyweight. I would have loved to have seen him fighting John Jones. Never happened. Why do you think it never happened, Chris?
Which one we on?
Just both. Just both, if you like. Why would you think, in your opinion, just Dana White?
White was Dana. I don't know about the John Jones situation. I don't think that was ever on the table.
No.
I think that would be a dream fight. The GSP fight was on the table. And I think it goes down to when he fought Damian Maia that time in Abu Dhabi. I remember he just pissed around the whole fight, didn't he? And I think that was because I remember Joe Rogan saying in the commentary, GSP's next after this fight for Anderson Silva. And Anderson Silva did this a few times when he was bored against someone and he didn't feel like you were the adequate sort of fighter against him. He would piss around and not take it seriously. He'd still win. I think after that, because it was UFC's first adventure into Abu Dhabi, and it's a lot of money there, isn't it? I think that pissed off Dana White, and he was like, right, that's not happening ever again now. And it got shut down immediately. Them two should have fought though, because they cleared out both of their divisions more than once as well.
They could have gone to AT&T in Dallas for that and done 100,000
easily.
They could have topped the record. Not a problem. Do you think they respected each other too much behind the scenes, GSP and Anderson, in the fact that they didn't want to get in there with one another? Do you think that was ever an issue between them? Not, having a respect and not wanting to fight one another? Maybe. Trying to look at it from another angle. No,
I think they would have fought each other. I think GSP, before he fought Bisping, don't forget, he would always sort of teased 185, but he always said that he'd have to take the appropriate time to sort of get his body right. Pretty much what John Jones is doing to get to heavyweight now. And I just think it was wasted because they prolonged it, and there wasn't much between them. There wasn't like I want to fight you next, or I want to fight you next. Given it, obviously I know Anderson Silva and GSP weren't the shit talkers, were they? They did their action in the octagon, but I don't think there was much forcefulness to them that really forced Dana White going, right, okay, we need to get this fight done. my personal opinion, the fight should have been done. Like I said, they both cleared out the divisions more than once. Wasn't just the one time; it was the second time. Possibly the third time they were clearing out everybody that was coming up against them. It was just 170, 185. It isn't that far apart. They could have got that done. It's just a shame. Now you look back after GSP's now retired himself, and Anderson Silva's calling time now on his MMA career. Obviously, I know he's got the whole boxing interest and stuff, and I think he's got a boxing match in the works. But it's just a shame that we never got to the juggerheads of UFC at the time in 2010, 2008. They never collided, and it just would have been a massive spectacle.
Favorite moment of his career? I know it's hard. There was many. I've got a favorite fight, which was very close to. I thought he was going to get beat.
I know where you're going with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. We have said about it before.
Oh, there you go. Cornish Pain. Yeah. What's your favorite Anderson Silva fight? Right. I like Chael Sonnen. The first fight, not the second one, because Anderson Silva worked it out then.
He knew full well what he had to do in the second one.
Yeah, I like Dan Henderson and Anderson Silva, because Dan Henderson, don't forget, when they fought, he came over as the Pride welterweight champion, and Pride welterweight division was pretty much 185, which is UFC's middleweight. So obviously he beat Dan Henderson by rear naked choke. He unified the Pride welterweight and the UFC title together. Fantastic. Obviously, Chael Sonnen fight was. I don't think I sat down the whole entire fight watching that live, because I just didn't know if Anderson Silva was going to pull it off. Bell fought against Anderson Silva just because that up kick to the face just come out of nowhere, and it was, it was a special finish.
Sonnen sold that as well. Do you know what I mean? It was just incredible, that first fight. How close do you want to get? How close you've dominated? You've absolutely slayed him on the ground, and then you get caught, and he takes it. He took it, and he was so close, and it was fantastic. The builder when he said, "Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck," when he was building.
Yeah. I know he's
had his issues with Brazil, and he came out with some comments you probably wouldn't want to come out with. But at the end of the day, Sonnen at that time, he was like, that you felt he might have been the kryptonite to him. I really felt that night, and there were big fights. There were big fights, Chris. I know you stayed up for all the cards, but me, especially with the UFC, I love getting up if it's like the big draw. And it was probably transition time as well. Chuck Liddell and Randy, they had their period, didn't they? And then Anderson came in and GSP. So, yeah, it was good transition at the time, wasn't it?
In a way, but if you look at how long Anderson Silva was a middleweight champion, 2,457 days. No one else has done that yet. I think John Jones could have quite easily done that at light heavyweight personally, but obviously things outside the cage messed him up, because he probably would have surpassed that by now. There's things that Anderson Silva, we go back to his fights. There's both fights with Rich Franklin when he became the middleweight champion, and when he defended against Rich Franklin. The Muay Thai, the knees to the nose, and Rich Franklin's nose was going the opposite way. It was insane. The guy could do things I'd honestly say would be like watching a superhero movie. He was a delight to watch. I have so much respect for Anderson Silva. I didn't want him to carry on after the Weidman injury, but I get why he wanted that.
He wanted to give those guys that idolised him the shot, but I wouldn't have took the fights. Not in more recent times. It's a young man's game in a lot of respects, isn't it? And styles, as we always say, people have got better, multifaceted in MMA. It's not just one style. And, I can understand he wanted to make those guys and help them along, but he could have had less losses on his record, Anderson.
I totally agree.
That's the way I look at it. He should have preserved it. Still a legacy. Can't take that away from him. But yes, absolutely. Anderson Silva calling time on a glittering career in MMA. And it'll be interesting to see what he does next. I'm sure we'll be seeing him at MMA events, and he'll be training stars of the future. Absolutely. When we come back from the break, we'll be talking about Josh Buatti's win on Saturday evening. Fury and AJ, signed, sealed, delivered August the 14th. And we're also going to preview some fights as well. There's some fights happening. And when we come back from this short break, let's see what Power 4 TV has on offer.
Just the impact. All you need. drive down into the buckle.
A bit of retro there. 1PW, One Pro Wrestling. They used to get all the top talent. I think our pal Mike Angus went to a few of them shows. And you think where the business was at that point, they were doing big, big things. Great to see that available on Powered 4. Past, present, future of wrestling in the UK, worldwide. Now, onto the boxing. And also, before I get onto the boxing, we will get to your comments as well at the end. Please hang fire with us. Stay with us because we'll get to the viewers' comments. Josh Buatsi with the win at international level. He is now on his way to world title honours. I can see it a mile off. Dos Santos, Chris, as you said last week, there wasn't many people favouring him. He was undefeated. He landed a very good uppercut on Buatsi, but he came back at him. Explosive. Put him down in the second as well. A fantastic performance in 4 rounds. I think Dos Santos looked in a bit of a bad way on the floor there. You could see it. Buatsi felt for him, didn't he? What did you take away from the fight, Chris?
Do you know what I thought of Buatsi? Immediately from the bell, it was straightforward. It was the pace of his straight right and his jabs. He was going low, he was going high, wasn't he? I thought, I don't know what you thought, but I thought Dos Santos, his balance for the 4 rounds we got to see was all over the place. He looked very timid to engage. You know what I mean? And I just thought every time Buatsi came forward and he'd go low, he'd go high, Dos Santos would, he was keep going away. And I know he put a jab out here and he got him with the uppercut. He got him with a straight left overhand right as well, very briefly. And then he rugby tackled him as well, don't forget. Wrong sport, my friend. But I just thought Buatsi was absolutely fantastic. He went in there like a bullet in a gun. The knockdown, I thought the knockdown was a bit.
It wasn't a full. Yeah,
he sort of caught him on the back of the head. Didn't he?
It was enough to startle him a bit, but yeah, it was a graze, wasn't it? More so, I would say.
I'd say that Buatsi just stalked Dos Santos the whole fight, and like I say, he was setting things up. Every time he was pushing him to a corner, you could see he was trying to set up, the looping right. Obviously, then we got into the 4th round and the finish where he teased to go up and then teased to go low, then went up and bam. I thought the second shot was a bit unnecessary because obviously I think Dos Santos was clear out by that point when it hit the chin. That second strike was a bit unnecessary, but I maybe think that was probably a few anger, just trying to prove a point maybe. But Buatsi looked like an absolute monster.
Unbelievable, destructive. It's levels again. It's getting to that title. I'm assuming he's going to get a title shot next. You've got Joe Smith in there. You've got Dimitri Bivol, who we've spoken about. Sergey Kovalev. But I also think Anthony Yard, as a domestic fight, now Anthony Yard lost to Sergey Kovalev. I think that would make sense. They could cross-promote it. Whether they could get them maybe to Saudi Arabia in August. But
why not?
It's 2 camps at the end of the day. That would mean Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have got to negotiate. I wonder for Buatsi, Anthony Yard needs a fight again. He needs to come back off that loss. I think that would make sense. It'd be a good domestic tear-up. Maybe if they could get it signed for August. I think they got enough time to go into camp. Buatsi only did 4 rounds. Buatsi only did 4 rounds, didn't he? So
flawlessly 4 rounds.
He can go back into camp. I think, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, quite easy.
Absolutely. Fantastic performance from Josh Buatsi. He was in the Olympics as well. And being trained by Virgil Hunter, one of the most famous current trainers in boxing. You can see that it's bearing fruit, training in California. And we will move on now to some big news. We did say about the date last week. It is signed, finally. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia at a purpose-built arena again. Obviously, we saw Anthony Joshua against Ruiz in Saudi Arabia. Chris, I cannot wait. Finally, Finally.
Let the fun begin, isn't it? Let all the shit talk, like all the crap that Fury can bring now. And now we have an actual date. Now we can get excited. Now we can have something to talk about. You know what I mean? Now we have, we can break down the fight. Now we can talk about who we think is going to win. I hope for at that point, you know, maybe me and yourself and someone else from Power 4, we can do a Joshua Fury special on the week of the event, so we can really get our teeth into, you know, the actual fight and the ins and outs of it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see this because, as I keep saying, this is the biggest fight in our generation.
100%, 100%. I knew it. All this, oh, it's not happening, it's not on. I knew all along to keep it in the news. Seen it time and time again. Thing is, behind the scenes are actually mates. So you know when all this trash talking goes.
Yeah, of course. They got to stand fight though, haven't you?
I know. Sometimes it's just like, just get in there. But you know, it's Fury, isn't it? You know, Joshua's more reserved. I think if he needs to say something, he will say something. But finally, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it needs to be at Wembley. Yeah, but we're not in a situation at the moment. They want a full stadium, as we've said. So
yeah,
they're coming out with 75 mil each reported, aren't they? For the first one.
That's not a bad bit of money, is it?
It's very tasty, very tasty. But it will be interesting to see. Chris, who do you think out of these two? A lot of people, I see a split. I see a divide across the boxing groups, you know.
It's going to be, isn't it? Because there's a lot of Fury fans and there's lots of Joshua fans. You've put me on the spot.
I'm the same. One day I'm thinking Fury, the next I'm thinking Joshua. Don't forget, he took on the most fearsome puncher in Wilder.
Yeah, and he completely, and he beat him, and he beat him at his own game as well. No, definitely not.
Maybe closer to the time he'll give us a betting tip.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I think as we get towards the fight, ask me that question again, and I think if we can get a special done, I can sit and analyze the fights, and I think once I've had a proper look at each fighter, and I can probably give you a better indication where I feel where the fight's going.
And don't forget, he went in with a bit of power in the second fight against Wilder. This is what everyone forgets.
Yes.
People dismissed him. I think, you know, being trained by Sugar Hill for the second one was beneficial.
You can tell the difference.
The game plan, you know, a lot of people said, hey, he can't punch. He's not a heavy puncher, Fury. But at the end of the day, Joshua, when he lands as well, it's that.
It's got a suspect chin, hasn't he? It has got a suspect chin.
It's perfectly poised. Thank God it's happening, because you're going to get into a scenario where it's going to be too late. So they've done it. It's perfect. They're in their primes. You know, Fury's looked fantastic. Can't wait, Chris. Can't wait like everybody else.
It's going to be good.
I've just got to decide if I'm going to watch it on Sky Sports box office or I'm going to watch it on BT box office. I'm probably going to lean to Sky's coverage on that one, I think. So we got that. We got that as well to think about. It's going to be dual broadcast.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you did say.
So there we go. And leading in to a fight this Saturday evening, Jose Ramirez versus our man from Scotland, Josh Taylor. Unification, junior welterweight, as they call it in the States, light welterweight to us in the UK. A huge, huge fight. I think there's quite a bit of respect on both guys here, on both parts. When Josh Taylor fought Regis Prograis at the World Series of Boxing, there was a bit of back and forth, but I think these two just want to get in there. They respect one another. A fantastic fight in the offing. Both come forward, both want to strike, both want to land. It's going to be very good, and it's for all the marbles this Sunday, early hours Sunday for us, and in the US, obviously Saturday evening. But yeah, I've got Josh Taylor. Ramirez has had more fights, but I feel Josh Taylor, people don't want to be sleeping on him. We've got that UK pride, Chris. UK pride with Josh Taylor. Your thoughts?
Obviously we picked the wrong fight, so I'm a bit out of my depth on this one at the moment because I didn't analyse or watch or anything on him. But obviously I know we've covered him before anyway. It's a big thing for him, isn't it? This is now to make a name for yourself. You know, that's, as you say, it's for all the marbles, isn't it? This Sunday for him. What a way to go and do it. And you know what? It's fun. We've been doing this for 13 weeks now, and the amount of decent British fighters that have hold of a belt, and then I didn't realise until we started this show, and I've had a deep dive into things. It's uncanny how many British ladies, British men, all are carrying belts. You know, all different levels and all different divisions. I got just hats off to all that.
Boxing is as good as it's ever been as well. You know, these people are. I watched it in the 80s, the 90s. Well, we're in the now, and I'm afraid a lot of people poo on combat sports now as well, don't they? At the end of the day, we are. I don't think we've ever had this many champions domestically ever, and I think we've really shown the USA, you know, how it's done. That might cause a bit of conflict in the comments after. I'll say it. I'll say it. We're a nation of 65 million. They got 300 million. So. And we're producing better boxers.
It seems like it at the moment, mate. It seems like it, but then I do look at the top end of most divisions do have a very good American fighter.
Absolutely. Whose dog is that? Rambo wants to know.
That'll be mine. That would be my Shih Tzu. He's a pain in the ass. I get lumped with him. There's someone downstairs in the shop below who's just closed the door
loudly.
Yeah, they slam the door.
Yeah. Just, you know, you need to tell them you're on at 6 o'clock. Are they pretending the dog ain't? But you've got to carry on, Mark. You've got to carry on with these things. You've seen it before. We've had sirens before now. You know.
Yeah, the ambulance that went past last week.
As soon as you stop, the show goes to pot. You've got to keep it rolling.
You see a rhyme there as well. Nice little rhyme.
Absolutely. So, yes, Josh Taylor. I haven't really spoke much about Ramirez. Don't forget, he is undefeated as well.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he's handy. He's where he is for a reason. But I think I've got Josh Taylor winning it. It's out in Vegas. They did say a couple of months ago, Bob Arum had said promoting it, that they would have 1,000 people in Vegas. But that's, things have changed. So I'm not sure. But hopefully there are people in. Hopefully there are people.
I think it's in America, it's to have your jab and you don't have to wear a mask. And you know what I mean? I'm sure they'll sort it out, like they did at the FA Cup this weekend. The other one had the test, didn't they? So if they can get that.
Absolutely. It needs spectators at the end of the day. I know that's the obvious.
You've seen it in the last couple of fights, UFC per se.
Incredible.
Brilliant with fans again.
So all the best to Josh Taylor against Jose Ramirez. Unification for all the marbles. Sunday morning here, early hours, Saturday evening for our friends in the US of A. And also, just a little preview, just a small preview, because it's next week. I threw you in the bloody deep end, didn't I, Chris? Because I forgot about Josh Taylor fighting. Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you for that. Thank you for coming along and doing that one then, mate. So it was I put you in the deep end with that. Devin Haney, a prodigy, only 22 years old, against Mr. Lenores, who's been going for so long. Jorge Lenores. It's for the WBC World Lightweight title. Jorge Lenores has been a freeweight world champion, don't forget. Getting on. It's that dichotomy, young man's game against a battle-tested veteran. The lightweight division, there's a lot of fights. There's been injuries and stuff like that. But a lot of people are favouring Devin Haney, but Lenores has gone in with some of the best. He had an absolute war with Vasil Lomachenko, former pound-for-pound champion. Lomachenko has been beaten by Teofimo Lopez at the weight. So a lot of people felt he was indestructible. So, yeah, Lenores is a vet. But I think a lot of people are veering towards young Devin Haney. They are really touting him for this one. Chris, what do you think?
I just think this is for Haney to win, isn't it, really? This is another... he beat Gabu, listening in his last fight, Haney, and that was the guy who, again, is a brilliant boxer. Obviously, time is sort of coming down on him, isn't it? With Lenores, I think it's for Haney. It's just he's got to do what he does best, and it's not go into a war. And I know he doesn't. He's not known for knocking people out, but I always think he's quite educated with his strikes, and he utilizes everything quite well. Doesn't get into a war, doesn't get caught with stupidly punches. I think it's with Lenores. Is he still hungry for it? I was looking back at his last couple of fights, and they all look like tune-up fights, really.
I think it's an age. I don't want to do him a disservice there because he's been fantastic. When at the weights, he was a big featherweight, super featherweight. I think lightweight was more natural for him. Being around for so many years, I think what you got to look at here, he likes to go forward and bang. Haney's quite good defensively.
Yeah, he's more preserved, isn't he? Yeah, a bit like Mayweather sort of way he does it. Yeah.
Could be a chess match that, you're thinking to yourselves. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that because we'll be previewing it a bit more next week, as it will be that weekend when it's on. So yeah, we look forward to that. It'll be an absolute ball buster, I can imagine. Devin Haney, young prodigy, only 22, against the seasoned veteran Jorge Lenores, free-weight world champion. And just to finish off there as well, we've got Ryan Garcia at lightweight. He's having issues with mental health, so I've heard. Teofimo Lopez is in the mix. As much as people say about heavyweight boxing, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on at lightweight as well, so we look forward to that. And I think it is time, in closing, to get to the viewers' comments.
Yeah, why not? Bring them on.
Let's see what we got, Rich. Fire 'em up. It's that time. Albert Barlow from Chi-Town.
Yes.
Hi, guys. Hi, Rambo.
Hi, Rambo.
Evening, boys. Carnage Pain. Lovely, lovely
Pain.
stuff. Logan Paul fight is on Sky Box Office. I thought we were getting away with that this week. Obviously not.
Don't be silly.
Don't start me off for this, but we're gonna have to address it because I want to speak about it. Chris,
someone's got to make some money, I guess. Let's hope that Floyd does the job, doesn't get bloody caught out by Logan Paul just being the bigger guy.
Yeah, Chris.
But you do sport.
No, happen. Floyd's gone through it. Floyd's gone through it all, mate. And even when he was in there with my Dana, he lost. It looked like to me. So it'll be even if it goes to the judges, there's no way they will preserve. He'll go to 51-0, Chris. He's got to. He's trained in it properly. This is a YouTuber.
I know, but this is combat sports, my friend, and some weird stuff happens, and he's got to count into his age as well. And like I say, what heavyweight Mayweather's a welterweight, isn't he? And I'd say that Logan Paul is light heavy. Bigger guy. The bigger guy always hits harder than the little guy.
As much as it pains me to say it, it's going to be a sign of things to come. I think this where you're getting white collar, and it's absolute. It's a joke. It's a joke, is what it is. I'm getting fired up here.
What do you want to do next? Do you want to do the TikTokers versus YouTubers boxing event as well?
It's just ridiculous. It's absolute. All right, I am Mark Lloyd. How are you, mate? Good evening to my face, Stu. How are you, Stu and Chris? All good, Brett. Hey, Brett, we're waiting for you to say about Logan Paul and Mayweather.
Yeah, I'm sure he's put it in there.
There we go. Logan Paul's latest video shows him beating 3 guys in one go. It was a great watch. Brett, that was staged, 100%.
Yeah, but anyone can look good in training and beat 3 bums, couldn't they? Let's be honest. Like
David Hay looked good with Wilder when that video came out. When Wilder came over in just sparring. So
he'd get wiped the floor with Wilder though. So it's all different kettle of fish when you step in that ring. When he fought KSI in the second fight, Logan Paul shit the bed.
All right, P. New Jack. Segueing into wrestling. Do you know what? I think 58 years old, New Jack. And, a lot of people have bashed him for his style, but he made an imprint on the wrestling business. Absolutely. People outside of wrestling, he was known. He was a polarizing figure. I was meant to go meet him in Atlanta, actually, one night when we were at WrestleMania in 2011. He was doing stand-up with Roddy Piper.
That would have been brilliant.
And I think it was a legit Facebook Messenger account because he was like, come down tonight. This is New Jack to me now. And the others were scared because they thought they were going to get a staple gun to the head, maybe a fork to the head. No, we're not going there tonight. I said, he'd be fine. He'd be chilled out. We'll have a beer with him. No, we didn't go. Yeah. So, just RIP New Jack to all the wrestling community, to his family as well. I know there's a GoFundMe for his funeral costs as well. Evening. Nice one, Rambo. Logan going to get whooped, Brett. Oh, it's fighting talk now from 2 of our regulars, Powered4.tv Ultras.
It's about time someone spoke some sense.
Anyone seen that bloody zombies last night at Backlash? I've seen a still image of that. I still haven't watched WrestleMania Backlash, Mark. I'm so behind. I'd say I've been watching all the documentaries. Rachel Cornell was embarrassing. I have read some stuff and I've seen it in a still shot. I've not seen it in person. No way, Rambo. Logan will become king of boxing. Right. Those two are throwing down. The Dons, Tyler T, pseudonym. It is Isaac Heffernan, a big boxing and combat sports fan, huge fan. He's getting bigger by the day, is Isaac. He's done well through lockdown with the gyms not being open, I tell you. I've told him to go into pro wrestling, Chris, Isaac. I'll be his manager.
You do well.
I'll be the chicken shit manager. That's what I'll be. Elsa Kano, sir. Thank you, Elsa. Regular viewer of the show. Anything else, Rich? First time watching a fan from True Heel Heat. Not into boxing too much, but I'm looking forward to Paul and Mayweather. Yeah, it gets casual people into it. I understand that. I'm just not a proponent of it. It's just not my thing. I want to see proper boxers go at it. I want to see Fury and AJ. That's what I want to see. But as you say, Chris, as we always say, the chingle, the green, the brass, as we like to call it in the UK, the conkers. It's there to be made in these fights, isn't it? Obviously.
And if Floyd's skid, don't forget as well.
They sold out to go Saudi. They could have done Wembley with fans going back. Yeah, but Rachel, I take your point. It's just not. We're not in a position. They want to sell Wembley out, and they'll be able to do that next year. Everyone will be immunised for the second jab. It's just not feasible at the moment. It makes sense. They've got to do this first one, and there'll be fans in, won't there? Which would be great. It's not everyone's choice, but there we go. Everyone has mocked Logan Paul Floyd fight. It's only an exhibition. Yet it's on Sky Box Office, and Floyd reportedly paid minimum $72 million. Don't get me wrong, I hate Logan, but can't ignore it. No, but how much money does Mayweather want to make?
Yeah, and he'll end up fighting Jake Paul after this as well, isn't he?
It's just like, but at the end of the day, I suppose the more he makes, it puts him up on top of the Forbes list. Saying that, Conor made the most out of the sports people, didn't he?
180.
Unbelievable. Honest beyond reasonable. Hi all.
Mate.
Don't know if you're a first-time viewer.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to powered4.tv, Big Fight Weekly. Who do you think of the undercard to Fury versus AJ? I would get Anthony Yard versus Josh Buatsi. Let's have another domestic terror. Buatsi could go for a world title. Anthony Yard lost to Kovalev in Kovalev's backyard in Russia. He hurt Kovalev, though, at one point. He was on a good thing, and then he just lost the plot. Guys, will DAZN be streaming AJ and Fury? If so, they charging £2. What input will happen to pay-per-view? No, it's getting streamed. I'm shown in the UK on Sky Sports. DAZN would be encrypted, so no. It will be DAZN in the States, I should imagine. ESPN, Top Rank, all that sort of. It won't be £2 here. The only choice you got of watching it is through Sky Sports Box Office here or BT Box Office, whichever coverage you prefer. But yeah, it's a good price point though for the UK, the £2, but not for AJ and Fury.
You're not getting that for £2.
It'll be on blackout. It'll be on blackout that night. DAZN for us in the UK. US will be fine though. Who was the guy ages ago that called himself internet champion, talking of the YouTube effect? This bloke tried getting in with Wilder and got knocked down. I think Floyd Sr. Get him in against Paul. Floyd Sr.
I'm not sure of this,
I'm just trying to decipher your sentences there, Rambo. Just trying to work out who you. I assume you want him to take on Floyd Sr. there, mate, not Wilder, because it'd be ridiculous. The size differential. So
eat him alive.
Floyd Sr.'s got to be in his late 50s, early 60s. All I watch is you guys on the telly instead of cartoon bedtime hour now. Chris will do the story like they do on CBeebies. They get someone famous, like a famous actor.
Why do I have to do it?
You do. You've got kids. I haven't got kids yet, have I?
I don't. They don't do bedtime stories, mate. They watch Friday the 13th.
My God.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason Voorhees and all that. Right, okay.
Yeah. You got to set them up well, mate. None of those pussyfooting cartoons now.
Thank you very, very much for all your comments. As per usual, we love it. We love that segment. We know we do it. We do it at the end. I know, it's a long show and stuff, but thank you very much. Thank you to Rich and John, as always, from Powerful TV. Thank you to Rich for ploughing all the graphics in. We appreciate it, mate. We love it. We love it. And yes, up next, Chris is on double duty this week. He will be joining Mike, Steve, off the back of Leicester's absolutely fantastic win on Saturday in the FA Cup. So yeah, Chris, you're on double duty this week with the lads. There's a special guest as well, I heard.
I heard this too, yeah.
And just before we go, where can the viewers find you?
Okay, they can find me on Twitter at Van Hume. They can find me on Instagram at VanHume86. They can also find me on Facebook on Powered 4 Big Fight Weekly page. Please come and give it a like and come and write some comments and let's have a chat.
Thank you. I just want to plug my merch first.
Go on
WrestleMerchCentral.com. Stu's Wrestling Podcast are on there. There is all sorts. There's also nice varsity jackets on there. Face coverings, T-shirts, hoodies, you name it, they're on there. Caps as well, caps like these. Stitch logo, sexy. Stu's Wrestling Podcast across all social media. And if you want to find this on the podcast apps, we are everywhere, Stu's Wrestling Podcast. And we will see you next week for episode 14 of Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly. And we're back on Tuesday on normal time, 6 p.m. Thank you all again.
See you then.